Hey y'all, so we have a couple pretty large projects that are going to be going on here today. I am waiting for Arbor Image to pull up at the moment. We are going to get some trees trimmed back here in the back. I think it will mainly be in the back, and the main trimming will be on the junipers that are not actually ours. So I kind of just wanted to give an overview of what's going to happen so that when Arbor Image gets here, I can introduce them and then just let them do their thing and kind of stay out of their hair. But the biggest trimming is going to be on the junipers that are our neighbors. So these junipers have been there for a really long time, and it's just the issues with their foliage. And so if you're familiar with junipers, you know that obviously they're evergreen, they don't have a traditional leaf. And so when all of this stuff falls and when it starts to break down and when it gets dry, there's no way to keep it out of our gutters, even with gutter guards. And we've had some issues with Tommy's sunroof drain getting clogged with those pieces as well. So we have talked to our neighbors, and I have let them know that these trees will be getting trimmed up. And while I don't want to trim them straight up in a line because I do not like that look. I don't like something that just looks trimmed straight up, but we just don't have the space not to trim them straight up. And it's causing some just a whole other set of issues, multiple issues that we are just kind of done dealing with at this point. And if it were any other type of tree with regular leaves, this would not be an issue. The issue is that they are junipers. So let me just flip around my camera really quick. And gosh, I don't know how long these junipers have been here, but these junipers are just massive, and they're really pretty trees, but they are just so messy. So let me flip around my camera really quick and I'll show you the mess that they make. I'll show you the issues that we're having with them, and then I'll kind of show you some of the other things that are going to get trimmed up as well. All right, so here is the mess that they make. You can see on our driveway here, Tommy just swept and blew all of this up yesterday. So this is just less than 24 hours worth of droppings here. Also the berries, they're sticky, they stick to our shoes, they get stuck when we go inside. And so these are going to get trimmed up. You can see there on the roof as well. This massive one and that one back there near the raised beds, they are going to get trimmed straight up. So we have the same issue here, obviously, and on the side of our garage. So you can see there that it's just, we don't ever clean on that side, like we don't blow it. And then what happens is that drains down into that basin, and it is not only clogging up our gutters, but it is clogging up the drain that runs underneath and all the way out to the street. So we don't want to get in a situation where that gets totally clogged up. So we're just going to take the opportunity to get these trimmed up, and Arbor Image was very nice to help us out with this. And they're somebody that I really trust, because these, like I said, are not our trees, they're our neighbors' trees, and we want to treat them with respect. And so we want to make sure that, you know, we have a certified arborist that comes and trims them up and makes good cuts and uses sterile, clean equipment, because these trees provide morning sun for us morning shade for us on our patio as well. So they are important to us. They're just a little bit of a nuisance when it comes to their shedding. So let me show you here. So this is just the foliage, and what happens is they just fall apart just like this, and there's nothing you can do to keep that out of the gutter guards. It does smell good though, I will say that. I do like the smell of it, but it will be nice to have these trimmed up and not having to deal just with the constant maintenance issues, because we also have this French drain that goes right there, and we probably clean that out about once a month because it goes here and then it hits that basin. We have some drainage on the back side of the garage, and then it all goes underneath that concrete out towards the street. Looks like Arbor Image just pulled up, so I'll make the rest of this pretty quick. Going to be raising the canopy on this red bud just a little bit, trying to decide what I want to do with this branch here. So I think we're going to take some weight off of it and allow it to kind of try. It's going in the direction that I want, where there is just kind of a void right here, right above our patio. So I want some shade right there. So I'm going to try to let that do its thing and fill in that space. This juniper over here, it is touching our neighbor's garage and their shingles, so we are going to be trimming that up on the back side so that it no longer touches. They don't have gutters on that side, so that is not too big of an issue there. The roofing company had to cut a few small branches that were close to touching the new shingles. We were out of town, so they went ahead and did that, and then they're gonna make clean cuts on those. Some other little things here and there, like some of these crossing branches that are in the middle of this red bud. I don't think that maple or the blue atlas cedar need anything. We were having a few issues with leaves getting stuck on that gutter guard and the water just kind of running off because that part of the roof is so steep. So they're just gonna trim this Japanese maple up a little bit towards my camera so that we can ensure that we just don't get a buildup of those leaves there. So all of this, it's going to be a lot of work, but Arbor Image is a company that I trust. I have done a lot of videos with Arbor Image in the past, and I would call them if I were you. They're very nice. They're a small company. They do what they say they're gonna do. They show up when they say they're gonna show up. So anyways, let's just go out front and let them get their stuff ready. I'll introduce you to everybody and we'll go from there. All right, so they've gotten all their equipment out. This thing is awesome. So we'll see how long it takes to get all of these trimmed up. Okay, so they are done and everything is cleaned up, and you know, I do not like the way these trees look trimmed straight up like this, but it's just, it got to the point where we just had to do something about them. In a soon to come video, I'll show you the trash concealment back there. It turned out pretty good, I thought, but let me flip my camera around and I will show you these junipers. All right, so this is it. And again, while I liked the look of them coming over to our side and overhanging the garage, they were clogging up the French drains, clogging up the gutters, even with the gutter guards. And then here pretty soon, we are going to get to go clean out the AC unit back there because it just falls down in there as well. And they're sappy and sticky and it causes issues. That is one thing that I forgot to mention at the beginning of this video. So let's go back and take a look at what it looks like from the back. They pretty much missed all of my plants. Most of the stuff that they were working with was right over the tomatoes and the peppers. And honestly, they salvaged more of the tomatoes and peppers that I thought. I actually brought my Focos back here to snip off a couple serranos and jalapenos. So let's flip it around. Okay, so there it is. Not too terribly bad. The cuts look really good and it's trimmed straight up and we should not have any more issues, thankfully. So let's go over here. So we had the canopy on this big red bud back here, raised just a touch, not too much, but they just raised it up off of the hollies so that the hollies could get a little more light. And they trimmed the maple, the Japanese maple that is over here. Not much happened there, just some really minor pruning. But that is all that I have for this video. I thought that it would be interesting to see some trimming of some very large trees, how it's done with what equipment and things like that. And now I am getting ready to do all of the maintenance tasks for the French drain and the gutters, run some water through it, get things rinsed off and cleaned out, and then we shouldn't have to do those chores like once a month now. So I'm very excited about that. And although I don't love the look of the trees, sometimes that is just kind of what's necessary. If we had much more room in between our houses and it wasn't causing issues, then this isn't something that we would have chosen to do. But however, sometimes in an urban setting, you just have to do what you have to do. So anyways, that's all that I have for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye. This is just like a month's buildup. So I look forward not having to do this all of the time. And one last thing, so we got all of this cleaned up over here, which is nice. We need to get some of that plywood removed. That was from some things that we did back in the back, so we need to get rid of that. We need to do some stuff with this metal edging here. And we got rid of the gate because our old neighbor wanted the gate, so he's gonna use it at his house, which is perfect. And something else that I just should mention, I was going to edit this video, and when I was editing it, I realized that that's our new kitten, Margot. We're starting to train her to kind of be outside when we want her to be outside and come in when we call her. But anyways, as I was editing this video, I realized that I didn't talk much about the neighbor entry situation. So when Arbor Image got here, I was talking with them, and it was really hot here when they were doing this work, and I didn't want to ask them to stop and introduce themselves on a video because they were sweating. They had been working all day and this was their last job of the day. So I just decided to go ahead and film what they were doing, try to stay out of their way as much as possible. But when I was discussing with them what all was on their notes, because Corey with Arbor Image had come out and we had talked about everything. He put everything in the notes. Their notes are very detailed. And when I heard Arbor Image talking amongst themselves and when they were talking to me going over the notes, he said, okay, so we are going to fence line these trees right here. And I thought, well, that's an aptly named term for this. And so, you know, something that you might want to consider is if you are planting trees and you do live in an urban setting or you live pretty close to your neighbors, consider what those trees will be like in 60, 70 years. These trees, I'm sure, were planted well before the neighbors who live here now moved in, and our neighbors are very kind. We spoke to our neighbors about this. I would certainly recommend talking to your neighbors before you just go cut limbs up off of their trees. But you do have the right to trim up limbs if they come over into your property. Our neighbors are like, yeah, absolutely, you know, trim up what you need to trim up. We totally understand. And I know that some people have neighbors that maybe aren't as easy to deal with as we have. And so you should always talk to your neighbors, and you should also check your state laws and things like that. But here I do know that you have the right to trim up limbs and trees that impede over the property line. But that being said, these trees are extremely tall, and Arbor Image, you know, it would be a nice thing to do as a neighbor if you were going to, hire someone to cut up the trees. It would be a nice thing to do to hire a certified arborist, somebody that obviously has insurance and things like that, because these trees could have easily, any one of these limbs could have easily fallen on our garage apartment, and I was super stressed about that the whole time. They were perfect, that there were no issues with any of that, but you definitely want to consider hiring an arborist, and I understand that an arborist is more expensive than, you know, someone that can just come cut trees. Anybody can cut trees. Not everybody knows how to make a good cut. Not everybody's insured and has insurance and things like that. And so just something to consider when you're doing this, and something to consider, you know, if you want to pay the extra money or split it with your neighbor or whatever to hire an arborist that's a little bit more expensive. Consider how these trees and the trees that you're cutting up will affect your property. So these junipers, as I've already mentioned, they provide some morning shade for us on our patio. Although we have these red buds, these still provide shade because they are so much taller than our red buds that we have in our backyard. So definitely consider that. Talk to your neighbor, check your local and state laws when it comes to trimming up other people's trees. And I think that's all I missed when I went to edit the video. I just wanted to make sure that I put this in there because it wasn't before.